everyone, welcome back to my class. This is Rumana Ali. I hope you all are doing well. In today's class, we are going to discuss about one important gland, and that gland is our thyroid gland. In the last session, we have seen all the different hormones that are secreted by the pituitary gland, and even we have talked about the hypothalamic hormones. Now in today's class, we are going to discuss about an important gland, that is thyroid gland, and this gland is responsible to secrete one hormone, that is thyroid hormone, which is an essential for the human body in carrying out most of the different activities. So in this class, I am going to explain you how the secretion of hormones can be done, how the secretion of hormone can take place by this thyroid gland. We will see the different functions of that thyroid hormones, and even will talk about the different disorders related to this thyroid gland. So firstly, we know that thyroid gland is a gland that is located below the larynx. Larynx is a voice box that helps to produce sounds. Below that, just below the larynx, you will be finding one bilobed gland. And this bilobed gland is our thyroid gland. The thyroid gland will show you one depression in the middle. This depression is called as isthmus. Okay, so this one, the middle part of the thyroid gland is called as isthmus. Now we'll see what are the different things that you can see in the structure of a thyroid gland. So in the thyroid gland, the liquid is present. It is filled with the liquid, and we call this liquid as stroma. In the stroma, certain cells are present in our thyroid gland, and they are cuboidal in shape. Like this, the cells are present. These cuboidal cells are called as thyroid follicles. Okay, so the cuboidal cells which are found in the stroma of the thyroid gland, we call those cells as thyroid follicles. Besides this thyroid follicles, you will be finding the presence of some specialized cells in the stroma like this. These are some of the specialized cells that are found in our thyroid gland. And these specialized cells are called as C cells. So here the thyroid gland is present. It is situated below the larynx. When you look at the structure of the thyroid gland, then it shows some cuboidal cells in its stroma. We call those cells as thyroid follicles, and some specialized cells are also present that are termed as C cells. We'll enlarge the structure of these cuboidal cells, which plays a major role in the formation of thyroid hormone. How these cuboidal cells of the thyroid gland involves in the secretion of hormone, let us see that. So these are our cuboidal cells. Here in the stroma, some space is present. In this space, you will be finding one protein, and we know that protein is a chain of amino acids, right? So here you can find a chain of amino acid, and these cuboidal cells that are thyroid follicles, they show the presence of iodine in it. In all the cells, iodine is present. Okay. Now here in the middle, one protein is present. That protein forms by the combination of amino acids. Different amino acids are present. And one of the important amino acid that is responsible for the secretion of thyroid hormone, that is termed as tyrosine. A chain of amino acid is present. In that chain, some of the amino acids are tyrosine, and these tyrosine will help in the secretion of thyroid hormone. How do they secrete the hormone? So this iodine, it will combine with the amino acid called tyrosine. When they combine with the tyrosine, For example, in some situations you can find only one iodine get attached to the tyrosine. We call that as monoiodotyrosine. If in case two iodines are attached to the amino acid called tyrosine, then that is called as diiodotyrosine. Based on the number, we can name it. Mono means one. If one iodine attaches with the amino acid tyrosine, we call that as monoiodotyrosine. If two iodine molecules are attached to the tyrosine, then it becomes diiodotyrosine. Likewise, if this diiodotyrosine combines with the monoiodotyrosine, then it results in the formation of a thyroid hormone. Here, as soon as the iodine attaches with the tyrosine, the amino acid chain breaks and all the other amino acids disappears. They disintegrate. Only the tyrosine will be present that binds with the iodine molecule. Okay, that shows the iodine molecule. Now, monoiodotyrosine and diiodotyrosine, when they combine, at that time in the structure you will find 3 iodine molecules in this way. Here 2 iodines are present, and here on this tyrosine 1 iodine is present. If they combine, then it forms a hormone that is called as thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone can also be termed as T3, and we can also name it as triiodothyronin. As 3 iodines are present, we named it as triiodothyronin, or in short we can call it as T3. T3 is nothing but our thyroid hormone. T3 is also named as thyroxine. So this is an important compound. Actually, this is a hormone that is secreted by the thyroid gland. Okay. If in case along with these 3 iodine, one more iodine comes and attached to the tyrosine, then 4 iodines will be there. We can name this compound as tetraiodothyronin. So based on the number, we can name the compound that is formed. We can name the hormone. T3 is actually a hormone, that is thyroxine or thyroid hormone. Okay, so this is how the secretion of hormone can be done by the utilization of iodine present in the cuboidal cell. When the iodine combines with the amino acid called tyrosine, at the time it will form a hormone called T3 or triiodothyronin. And here in the beginning I told you that one protein is present here. In that protein chain you will be finding the presence of an amino acid called tyrosine. So we call that protein as thyroglobulin protein. It shows the chain of different amino acids. In this chain, tyrosine is also an amino acid that is found. When iodine goes and attaches to the tyrosine, at that time it will form a hormone, and that hormone is our thyroid hormone. So we have seen how the secretion of hormone can be done by the cuboidal cells of the thyroid gland. So thyroid gland is mainly responsible to secrete a hormone that is called as thyroid hormone. Now let us talk about the functions of thyroid hormone, how it is essential for our body, that we will see now. So firstly, it increases the BMR of the body. It helps to increases the basal metabolic rate of our body. How the metabolic rate gets increases due to the secretion of thyroid hormone. So by the secretion of thyroid hormone, rate of consumption of O2 gets increases. So how the rate of consumption of O2 gets increases? We all know that our each and every cell has some sodium potassium pumps over their membrane, right? These sodium potassium pumps, they require ATP in order to show one reaction, and that reaction is they takes up 2 molecules of potassium ions into the cells and they removes 3 sodium ions out of the cells. So whenever the 3 sodium ions moves out, simultaneously 2 potassium ions can enter into the cell by the utilization of ATP. So whenever the sodium pump has to has to do this function, they need energy, they need ATP, and we all know that ATP can be produced by the consumption of oxygen. So here, what is the role of thyroid hormone? So thyroid hormone, as soon as it gets secreted into the blood, it will increases the sodium potassium. It will increases the number of sodium potassium pumps over the cells. As the sodium potassium pump gets increases, ATP will also, the utilization of the ATP, it is also getting automatically increases, and if the ATP is required in more amount, oxygen is also required in more amount. In this way, the rate of consumption of O2 gets increases, that increases the basal metabolic rate. Here it's given that glycogen and lipid, these substances can be broken down in order to produce glucose. This is a basic thing, right? So glycogen, when it breaks, that process is called as glycogenolysis, and the glycogen, after breakdown, it forms the glucose, and the glucose can be transported into the blood, and that glucose, when reaches into the cells, it will combine with the oxygen to release ATP. In the similar manner, lipid can also be broken down, and we call these processes as gluconeogenesis. So by the process of gluconeogenesis, lipid can be converted into glucose that can be transferred into the cells in order to provide ATP, energy molecules. Okay, and proteogenesis can also be seen in the different cells. Proteogenesis means the synthesis of proteins. So proteins, it will not broken down into the cells, because proteins are responsible for the growth of the different parts of our body. So here proteolysis is not going to happen. It stimulates the process called proteogenesis. In this way, thyroid hormone affects the metabolism of glycogenolysis and also the gluconeogenesis by increasing the number of sodium potassium cells. The next one is, thyroid hormones are very important for our physical, mental and sexual growth. For example, the growing baby needs the thyroid hormone for its proper growth. Growth can be inhibited if the proper formation of thyroid hormone is inhibited in the body of a mother. In the body of a mother, thyroid hormone should be regulated properly. It should not exceed or it should not decreases its secretion. It should be in a normal condition, because thyroid hormone plays a crucial role in the growth of the fetus. So in this way, thyroid hormone is very essential for the physical, mental and sexual growth of an individual. So these are some of the functions of thyroid hormone. Let us talk about parathyroid gland. This is our thyroid gland. When you see, then it is in this manner, folded manner. So the back side of the thyroid gland shows you the presence of one more gland, that is parathyroid gland, and this gland is responsible to secrete a hormone called parathormone. Parathormone can also be written as PTH, or it is also named as Colip's hormone. Besides this, we have seen in the structure of thyroid gland that cuboidal cells, thyroid follicles are present that are responsible for the secretion of for the formation of thyroid hormone, right? In that cuboidal cells, iodine is present, which combines with the amino acid tyrosine in order to give thyroid hormone. We have also seen some specialized C cells are present in the structure of thyroid gland, and that specialized C cells are responsible to secrete a hormone called calcitonin. So calcitonin is a hormone that is secreted by the C cells, and parathormone is a hormone that is secreted by our parathyroid gland. These two hormones plays a major role in balancing the amount of calcium in our blood. We know that each and every substance that is there in our blood, it should be maintained. They should be present in the normal range. If it get increases, then also it will lead to problems, and if it gets decreases, then also we can see many problems. So to regulate the normal range of the calcium in the blood, these two hormones plays a crucial role. So whenever the calcium it gets increases, then calcitonin will be secreted into the blood to decrease the amount of calcium. And when the calcium gets decreases in the blood, at that time parathormone is secreted into the blood in order to increases the level of the calcium. So these two hormones are mainly responsible to regulate the level of calcium in our blood. Whenever we talk about the calcium, we need to take the bone into consideration, as it is the main part where the calcium gets stored. So bone is a tissue which is made up of calcium phosphate, right? So it's made up of calcium phosphate. A lot of calcium is stored in our bone, and the bone is responsible to transport that calcium into the blood. The bone, we know that in the bone certain cells are present, and that cells are called as osteocytes. Besides these osteocytes, some more cells are found here, and these cells are called as osteoclasts. Osteocytes are the cells that are responsible for the formation of bone. They play a major role in the formation of bone, but osteoclasts are the cell that functions to break the bone. They break the bone. They eat up the bone. So the bone has its shape because of the presence of osteoclast. Osteoclast is an important, osteoclasts are the important cells of our bone that gives the bone a proper shape. The bone, firstly it forms in this way. These osteoclasts, they break the bone, they eat some part of the bone, and then they give the bone a proper shape in this way. So these are very, very important cells of our bone. Now, if in case the level of the calcium in the blood gets increases, at that time calcitonin is released by the C cells. This calcitonin will come and it acts on these osteoclasts. What does it do? This calcitonin, it shuts up the activity of osteoclast. So as soon as the activity of osteoclast stops, the calcium will not get transferred into the blood, and then slowly the more amount of calcium that is there in the blood, slowly it will enter into the bone. In this way, the regulation of the level of the calcium can be done by the secretion of a hormone called calcitonin. But if in case the calcium level in the blood gets decreases, then this parathormone is secreted by the parathyroid gland, and when it is released, it will come and it will also act on osteoclast. This parathormone will opposes the action of calcitonin. Calcitonin was shutting up the action of osteoclast, but here parathormone stimulates the osteoclast to break the bone more faster. So as the action of the osteoclast gets increases, more and more amount of the calcium can be transferred into the blood, and then the calcium level automatically it gets increases and it is maintained. So here in the blood, if calcium level gets increases, calcitonin is released to maintain this, and if in case the calcium level gets decreases in the blood, then parathormone is released in order to regulate the level of the calcium in our blood. This is how the different hormones that are released by the that are secreted by the different glands plays crucial role in maintaining the level of the different substances in our body in order to prevent the different kinds of disorders, the different kinds of problems. Okay, so here we have seen that thyroid gland is present, that is responsible for the secretion of thyroid hormone, and one more gland is found, that is parathyroid gland, which is not under the control of pituitary. Pituitary gland is not responsible for the stimulation of parathyroid gland. Here the parathyroid gland is present at the backside of the thyroid gland, which is responsible for the secretion of a main hormone called parathormone, And here calcitonin is also released by the specialized cells of the thyroid gland, that is C cells. All these different kinds of hormones are released in our body to regulate the different substances that are found in our blood. So that's all for today. Meet you in next class. Thank you.